everybody, my name is Brian Sturrock, and today we're going to learn about why do some plants have flowers. Here, so we've already learned week 3, now we're going to learn week 4. So this is quite an interesting one. We're going to learn about why do some plants have flowers. Why do they have flowers? It's a very important reason. So now, why do some plants have flowers? So the main thing about why do some plants have flowers is just because of nectar or pollen. But we're mainly talking about flowers and pollen today. So are you ready? Let's get started. Many plants come from seeds. Many plants come from seeds. So there are many types of plants that come from seeds, as you know. Many plants come from seeds. The seeds have baby plants inside them. So, for example, if you imagine this piece of Lego is a seed, then inside the seed, there will be a little baby plant. The baby plant will just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. You just need to stack them up. So the baby plant grows and grows and grows. But where does the seeds come from? Well, the seeds mainly come from flowers. This is a flower. Can you see the flower? So, for example, this is a flower, a very colorful flower. Then, you have a flower, a very, very, very colorful flower. But, inside this blue thing, if you try to pick out the blue thing, you will see this here. So, under the blue thing, this is a blue thing, it's covering the yellow. Then, if we rip apart the blue thing, then we can see yellow. What is this yellow? It's a seed. It's actually a seed inside the other parts of the flowers. That's where the seeds come from. So, you mainly know about that seeds come from those beautiful flowers. So, what are some flower parts? Well, flower parts can be the flower, as you know, or as you wish. Then we have the leaves, we have the stem, and we have the roots. So, those are the parts of the flower. So, that's how we describe the parts of the flower. We're learning about those parts of the flowers because I want to tell you that the seeds, which is this, come from flowers. So that's a very good thing to think about. So now I'm gonna ask you some questions after each paragraph like this. I'm gonna ask you some questions. So, among these, what is a fruit? This is a pineapple. This is a banana. This is a banana. This is a banana. This is spinach, and this is a carrot. So, which of these is fruit, and which of these are not fruit? So, as you know, the spinach isn't a fruit, and actually, the carrot isn't a fruit. So, the only thing that's the fruit is the banana, the sweet, tasty banana. So, I'm gonna ask you another question. This question is about fruit. Where does fruit come from? I'll give you a hint. It isn't a flower. So now, where does this where does this water this where does this brown banana come from? Where does this brown banana come from? So this brown banana comes from a big tree. The big tree, or maybe a banana tree, is the answer to our question. It could be an oak tree, it can be a pine tree, or it can even be a redwood tree. Now I'll tell you this amazing fact. So, have you ever drank a coconut? Well, can you see the seeds of the coconut? No, the coconut doesn't have any seeds. There's only the meat and the milk. So, where's the seed? I'll give you a hint. The seed is outside the seed. So, what is it? As you know, the coconut is the seed. So, just like the coconut, inside we look like brown, it's already a seed. And then the brown thing, the brownie thing that covers the light brown will be the seed coat. So when we throw an empty coconut to the ground, if we throw an empty coconut to the soil, then it will slowly grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. It can grow very fast. So that's why the coconut doesn't have any seeds. It's already a seed, such as acorns, pine seeds, pine nuts, and redwood seeds. They're all seeds outside. Even a coconut can be one of those. But now, as you know, let's move on with the next paragraph. Our next paragraph is all talking about how pollen was transported. So the first thing of how pollen was transported was here. We have 3 pieces of pollen. The pollen was transported by wind. So the one way the pollen can travel is by wind. What is the next way that pollen can travel? The next way is by animal. This is a brown bee, and this is the pollen. The pollen got stuck to the bee. Here's another flower. The bee lands on the flower, and all the pollen, or maybe some of the pollen, drops onto the flower. Then the bee buzzes away and gets more pollen. Then maybe it will go back to its ha 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 ho ho. It will go back home because bees have home, right? So now, after this paragraph, we'll answer these critical questions. This needs some critical thinking. You need to think hard. That's what critical thinking is. You have to think hard before you shout out, "Ah, the answer! Hey, the answer!" So you need to listen to the teacher carefully before you say the answer. That's called critical thinking. So now, are you ready for these hard or maybe simple questions? Let's get started. These questions are quite hard. So, the first question. The pollen. So, now, how does the pollen travel? The hint is, it is not wind, it is not wind, and it is not by insects. What is it? Of course, it's mammals. Oh, so, do you know why mammals sometimes carry pollen? If you see a flower in front of your house, you could just get a bowl and such, just like these pincers that you use at home. Then you put the pollen into the bowl and then put some of the pollen into the next bowl, just like you are a pollen messenger. You're a messenger that carries pollen. And then you just bring a little pollen to one, 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 and a little pollen to one. To one means to one flower. So now, what about the next question? The next question is a little bit easy. What is the life cycle of a tree? Well, the life cycle of a tree is starting from a seed to a seedling to a sapling to a tree and then to the flower and then to the fruit. So it's very easy to say it. So, are you ready for some more hard thinking? This is the last hardest question. It's like a riddle. What grows on a tree? It is yellow and it is in a curve like a crescent moon. What is it? So it grows in a tree. That means it has to be a fruit. It is yellow, we have lemon, and we have banana. Which is the next answer? Which is the correct answer? Let's see the last hint. The last hint. It is shaped like a crescent moon. So the lemon will be shaped as like a full moon, but the banana is like a crescent moon. So those are our fun questions, but hard questions for the next paragraph. Now let's move on with the paragraph that summarizes this thing. What is it? Well, this paragraph summarizes in this paragraph it's a little hard, but I think you can make up. So in this paragraph it summarizes about fruit. So how does fruit grow from a plant? How does it grow from a plant? Grow from a plant or not grow from a plant? Fruit that grows from, so just like the fruit. Here's the fruit. So now we're gonna talk about the fruit. So are you ready for the paragraph that will be talking about fruit? As you know, let's get started. How flowers make fruit. When pollen lands on a special part of the flower swells. So it swells. This is a flower, then it swells, and then it swells, and then it swells, and then it swells. It keeps swelling until it is a big, fully grown flower. It keeps swelling until it is a big, fully grown flower. So this is like a normal flower. So the flower swells. It makes a fruit. The flower dies, but the fruit stays alive. It keeps growing. Then, finally, in autumn, when the leaves turn red, yellow, brown, and green, maybe green. So when at that season, we can pick the fruit. It makes a fruit, the flower dies, but we pick the fruit in the autumn. So we just wait for the fruit to be nice and fresh. Then we get the fruit into our house, wash it, cook it, and then cut. There's something, there is some fruit that can be cooked on a pan. It's a pineapple. Why? A pineapple can be cooked with meat, just like meat of a cow, or maybe the meat of a pig, or maybe chicken or others. Well, we don't really call it a chicken. Maybe hens are the best. So now I'm gonna tell you something. Did you know that the tomato was actually a fruit? Did you know the tomato was actually a fruit? Well, were you surprised? I think you did. Do you know why is it a fruit? Well, it's a vegetable with seeds. What about another one? Well, it can be cucumbers, or maybe it can be pumpkins. It can be pumpkins that inside that are green. Pumpkins are they're vegetables, they have seeds. Green pumpkins are also vegetables, but they have seeds. Tomatoes are vegetables and they have seeds. And cucumbers can be vegetables, but they have seeds. Actually, cucumbers are both vegetables and fruit. We can cut it and then eat it. We do not need to cook it. That's how we use it as fruit. But we can also use it as vegetables. When we use it as vegetables, we cook it. We cook it in a frying pan. We cook it on the stove. We cook it in the microwave. We usually use that for some of our rice. So, were you amazed by that? As you all know, you are. So, now let's answer these easy questions for this paragraph. This paragraph is mainly talking about fruit. It's mainly talking about fruit, okay? It's talking about fruit. So, fruit. What is fruit? Fruit is actually the something fruit is actually something that has seeds. So, we're going to answer these easy or hard questions. The first question. What is a kind of fruit that is round? What is a kind of vegetable that is like a circular shape? It's not a tomato, and it is not a cucumber. And this is the hint. It is yellow. So, what is that type of vegetable that has seeds? Well, if you see that it's just like a circular one, and it says it's not a tomato, so it can't be a tomato. So it says that it's not a cucumber, so it's not a cucumber. Then it says the hint. The hint is that it's yellow, and it's just like some type of vegetable and fruit. So what is it? It has seeds, for example, and it's a vegetable with seeds. So what is it? As you know, it's a pumpkin, a yellow pumpkin. There could be lots of types of pumpkins. Yellow pumpkins, green pumpkins, blah, 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 pumpkins, many pumpkins. But the most popular ones are yellow pumpkin, orange pumpkins, and the most important ones were orange pumpkins, and as you know, green pumpkins. So we have no time to waste. Let's move on with the next one. The next one will be, now the next one will actually be, as you know, the next one will actually be a very hard one, but I think you can solve it. it's about your garden. Because we're mainly talking about plants today, so I think we'll have a question with about your garden. So, can you find something that's in your garden? It's green and yellow. Well, it's greeny and yellow. It must be a pumpkin. Pumpkins can be green or yellow. So I think let's just move on with the last question. We're gonna focus on flowers now because flowers are the most important one. How does pollen travel from one flower to the next? The hints are, it is not a bee, but it has big wings and it grows from a caterpillar. The hint is that it is not a butterfly. What is it? As you know, it's a moth. A moth means a moth isn't a bee. The moth has big wings. It says it's not a butterfly. That means it's a moth. And also, it grows from a caterpillar. It grows from a caterpillar. Moths and butterflies usually have the same life cycle. Also monarch butterflies and many other types of butterflies. Blue, yellow, green, purple, pink, red, black, white, and many other brilliant colors. So that's it for those questions. So let's move on with our fourth paragraph. Our fourth paragraph is going to be a little long, but you must keep up because this is a very good and exciting lesson. This lesson is all about this lesson is all about something about your garden. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Plants grow from many different types of things as you wish. So, they grow from many different kinds of things. That's the hint of this fourth paragraph. This fourth paragraph is going to be a little long. So, this thing fruits grows from trees, but it grows from flowers first. The flowers make that fruit. Then the fruit will be in the tree. The flower will die. All is left is the bud with this little pollen and also the fruit. That's what's left. The fruit grows. So the fruit grows. But this life cycle is pretty important to this paragraph. Why? It's about the life cycle. So are you ready to get super started? Let's go on. Trees and many different stages in our life cycles, as you know. So there are many different stages in their life cycle. It could be the seed, the black seed will grow into the seedling will grow into a sapling, and the sapling will grow into, as you know, the sapling will grow into a tree. Then the tree will have some fruit. So it must have flowers, the buds of the flowers first, then the flower swells. Maybe the panels of the flower open. Then inside there are some things that you must worry about. So without pollen, the flowers cannot reproduce. So they can't reproduce without pollen. It can't reproduce without pollen, so you must be careful not to take all of the pollen if you're a pollen messenger. So now let's just move on. So now I'm gonna teach you about this important thing. It's very important to our daily lives. Here we have what is this fruit? This fruit is actually from a yellow, and the circle inside will be purple, and the panels will actually be yellow. So what type of fruit will there be? So I hope you learned that already. It will be an orange. Because just like the panels, if sometimes the panels, the dot in the middle can be red, the red and the yellow will turn into orange. So that's why it's suitable for orange to sit there. An orange is actually a fruit. It's an orange fruit. We call it an orange because it's not like a cylinder orange, because it's just an orange. It's quite orange. Or maybe a banana, we don't call it a yellow, but we call it a banana. Or maybe apple, we don't call it a red, but we call it an apple. So this fruit is very important. I mean, it's a little difficult, just like to remember, because this fruit can be an orange. You just mistake the word fruit orange into the color orange, just like some mathematics maybe papers have the word orange. You mix them up. You don't know what is the color orange and what is the fruit orange. So be careful. Make sure you are conscious and have fun. So let's just do the questions of this fourth paragraph. This fourth paragraph can be quite complicated. So I hope you listen to it more carefully than the others. So are you ready to answer these 3 questions? Our first question: where does pollen come from? We're reviewing the other paragraph. Where does pollen come from? Pollen comes from flowers. So pollen comes from flowers, as you know. Pollen can come from flowers. So now the pollen can come from flowers, or the seeds can come from flowers. Because we have seeds, we have fruit. So without flowers, we don't have fruit, and without fruit, we don't have seeds. So you can just say that simply, like no flowers, no fruit. No fruit, no seeds. 4 no's, or maybe 2 without, or 2 no's. So you just say without flowers, there will be no fruit. And without fruit, there will be no seeds. So that's the most suitable one to answer. No flower, no fruit, no seed. I mean, no flower, no fruit, no seed. They just say nothing in this world. So now we'll just explain that simply so you can understand that more confidently. So, are you ready? Let's move on with the second question. The second question is a little bit funny, but I guess you'll solve it. What is the life cycle of a tree? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. What is the answer? Well, the answer to that question is the seed, the seedling, the sapling, the tree, and the fruit. I mean flower and then fruit. I mixed it up. So now the last question before we say goodbye is the question about the tree. What is the fruit that grows from a tree and has flowers of red and yellow? What is it? As you know, it's an orange. We just answered that. I told you the hint. Do you know why? Because red and yellow become orange. So the flower with the red, the circular thing that is red, and the petals that, or maybe the panels or the petals that are yellow, then the fruit will be an orange. So I hope you learned a lot in this lesson. So you learned about many things. You learned about the plant first. You learned about the fruit from the tree. You learned about how pollen travels. And you learned about the life cycle of a tree. It will start from a seed, a seedling, a sapling, a tree, a flower, and a fruit. For this, sometimes it travels by wind, sometimes it travels by insects, sometimes it travels by bats like mammals, and sometimes it travels by us. And finally, the parts of the plants are roots, stems, leaves, and flowers. And the fruit and the flower will grow into the fruit. So I hope you learned a lot and see you next time. Take care.